Do the stars have all the answers? Well, we're going to find out today with my new guest. It is Andy with Mindset Matters More. And you're going to notice that today we have a little bit of a different format. I am interviewing other coaches that have special practices in their own realm of coaching. And so today's guest is a multi-passionate force of nature, Kenya McGuire Riley. She's a certified health and wellness coach, astrology guidance coach, angelic Reiki practitioner, recording artist, educator, and former licensed physical therapist, all driven by her deep calling in the healing arts. With a master's in counseling and her boutique practice, Finding Your Voice, Health and Wellness, Kenya helps diverse women transform their mindset and step into meaningful, aligned lives. By day, she serves as assistant professor and director of student development, culture, and well-being at Rush University in Chicago. When she's not teaching, healing, or creating music, you'll find her planning soul-nourishing retreats, launching in-person astrology and Reiki sessions. In 2026, she's going to be co-creating the innovative Inner Quest Academy micro school with her husband and dreaming up the next beach adventure. Everyone, please welcome the radiant Kenya. Kenya,
Oh,
welcome.
oh my goodness. Thank you, Auntie. It's so good to be here. Oh my God.
I am so excited to have you on here, and I just have so many questions, so I want to dive right in.
Let's go. Let's go. Yes.
So, did astrology come from coaching, or did coaching come from astrology? Chicken or egg? Which came
Ooh,
first?
which came first? That's a good question. I have been looking at astrology since I was about 8 years old. So I would say astrology came first, but I just looked at astrology honestly because it was interesting. I would meet people as a kid, and I can't, people always say, well, how did you learn it as a kid? And I don't really remember. I think my sister must have introduced it to me because she's 8 years older than me. And she's into astrology. But at any rate, I just thought, oh, as a kid, I really normalized astrology. I thought everybody knew what their sign was. I thought everybody realized if you were a Scorpio, you were this way, Gemini, another way, whatever. Really wasn't thinking of it deeply. And it wasn't until adulthood that I start learning, obviously, all the things that people, the more controversial things, honestly, I think astrology is just now resurfacing again. It's in another cycle where people are, investing time and understanding. But yeah, I didn't really, I kept it kind of to myself. And it wasn't until I did a lot of my own deep healing work, probably about 15 or so years ago, that I revisited astrology in a way. An astrologer did a reading with me in a way that was very healing and very therapeutic. And I was like, okay, this is different. This isn't the how I thought you could use astrology. And so I really just kept it in my pocket. Again, just used it for me. Didn't really think much more than that and didn't know it. Just knew enough to understand my moon, and my sun sign. But it was COVID. COVID,
Ah,
of
okay.
course. It was COVID that shifted a lot for me personally. Like I think everybody, I was already in a big shift. I was going through a divorce actually right when COVID hit. Yep, I was already in my pandemic. But that having gone through that, my life was changing so quickly. And I started studying astrology more just because of my curiosity. I knew the healing factor of it. And so I studied it more honestly, again, just to keep learning more about it for myself. But the more I started, I actually got a astrology teacher. I decided to take advanced kind of understanding of it. And once I got involved, he was like, "You're very natural at this. Like, you need to think about how could you use this?" And I'm like, "Exactly. I can use this with people that I coach, and I already was kind of, because of course, the moment I see their sign, I was already in the habit. It was just naturally for me to kind of, okay, that's a little bit of their wiring. No judgment or anything. It's just they're wired. So, but then that's when I started incorporating it in the coaching, when I started learning it on an advanced level and just saw how profound it is in better understanding how you're wired, and the blueprint that you're here
Well,
for.
that's amazing. It's almost as if they were meant to be joined. And oftentimes we try to shoehorn in a career or a passion, and we're like, oh, how can we make it uniquely ours? But if something that has been in your life since you were 8 years old, and it just it becomes seamless. It becomes
Yeah.
something that is just like natural to integrate into your practice, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how
It
do you
was.
use it?
Oh, so yeah. So now it's funny because I was very skeptical initially about how I was going to approach it because to be honest, most of the clients that I was working with at that time, which was the beginning of COVID, so 2020, I really started coaching artists back in like 2016. And then I started shifting from coaching artists to just coaching women. And many of my clients were over 40, some over 50, many of them are African American. And there has been, I believe, and I think a lot of people in the Black community would say, this kind of weird stigma around astrology. And that goes into a whole nother podcast or we might get into it. I don't know how it's been demonized and all the things, right? So I had a lot of clients who fit this, demographic of being Black women over 40 and so forth. And I'm like, oh dear, like I don't want anybody to feel like they have to do astrology or anything like that. So I really was kind of, again, being a little bit more behind the scenes. And then what started happening when I kind of bring it up, more and more people were like, no, I'm actually curious. Can you tell me a little bit more? And then I was like, yep, let's go for it. And then I started realizing, okay, those clients who are open to astrology, we can really do some profound work, some profound healing work by incorporating it. So I just started coming up kind of with my own modules, I work very heavy with certain placements in the chart because they point straight to healing
Yeah.
and transitional work when we're in these different phases that are a little bit harder in our life than in different cycles, because that's what astrology is. So yeah, and so now though it's at the point where yes, I'm doing pure readings. It's not even people that are necessarily getting coached. I'll just do readings. I call them guidance readings because I don't want people to think that they can just come. This is going to be pretty much like a coaching session. We're going to
Yeah.
learn a little bit more about you and see kind of where you can evolve. And I just started doing tutorials, one-on-one tutorials. So for those people who want to learn astrology and how it works. So it's really evolving. I did not plan this. I'm constantly trying to catch up to my life.
I love that phrase. I love that phrase, just trying to
Yeah.
catch up to my life. It's like it's guiding you and you're looking one way and you're like, oh, I have to go that way.
Yes.
Okay. That's
Yes.
so, oh my God, I love that saying.
Yeah.
And to your point, I'm actually in that right now. So I don't know if you know this, but like I'm leaving for Guatemala in 2 weeks.
I
And
know this
I'm
is
gonna
the
be
time of
there.
year that you go. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I'm leaving in 2 weeks and I'm gonna be there for 4 months and I'm like deep into oracle cards and manifesting in this, but I feel like I'm going to this heavily Catholic culture because
Mm,
that's what I'm exposed to. And so, anything that isn't in of the Catholic Church is very much like taboo. I mean,
yeah.
and I have been meeting so many people from Guatemala lately that are into oracle readings, manifesting, but they're like outside of, Guatemala right now. So
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
like I'm calling them in to my
Mm-hmm.
own practice.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find that once you started incorporating it, you started calling those people in too?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. A lot. And that's to the point where literally finding your voice was really intended and originally for over 40. But since I did astrology, I started drawing in so many more people under 40 that I'm like, okay, this doesn't really match anymore. Like that I really need to be talking beyond that demographic. So absolutely. And I'm actually in the name of the business never had after 40, but my website says after 40. I had a podcast after 40. And I'm like, okay, we can't really do that anymore because yes, many more people have been coming in for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the
Yeah.
thing about alignment, right? Is that not
Yes.
only when we show up in our own authenticity, we start pulling in people who align with that, who
Absolutely.
desire that, who want that from us, because that's what we're called to do, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. Do you follow human design at all? Are
Yes, I
you
just had
okay?
mine done. So crazy.
And they all are very like they intertwine each other and build upon each other. But my human design is I'm a generator, and generators are supposed to wait for things to come to them and then generate from that. And so like my life definitely plays out that way. So I'm even in a season myself, like, okay, wait a minute. I did not have this astrology bit. I didn't have that on the forecast, honestly, when I was building. finding your voice. And it's become probably the most magical part of what I do. So I've been having to kind of reevaluate, like, okay, how do I want to, kind of keep going? How do I want this business to evolve? How do I want my retreats to evolve? All of those things. So
Do
yeah.
you incorporate them in your retreats too?
I do. I do now. Yeah. It's a smaller piece because again, I don't want people to feel that I am having a specific astrology retreat actually in the spring because I have a group of women who have been really learning about themselves through the lens of astrology with me for the past almost 3 years now. They've been meeting virtually and they've never met each other physically. So we said, okay, we need to do a meetup, retreat, something. So we are doing, but that's private just for them. So that's not open to others. But the other retreats I do, I absolutely, people can, they can book one-on-one readings with me during the retreat. I create, space during the retreat for that. And I've had not every retreat, but I've had points at which we'll have kind of a soul-inspired day and expose them to oracle cards and expose them to astrology, human design, just these other ways of going about seeing themselves and their soul's development. So yeah.
Have you ever had an aha moment in your astrology reading? Like one where you're just like everything kind of just snaps into place and
Every reading.
you're
It's really, I tell people, I mean, when you really start digging into astrology and you start studying the layers, it is absolutely mind blowing. Even to me, having studied it pretty intensely, I look at now the things that I'm doing now, even I'm like, okay, where in my chart? Like, where is, I'm like, oh, there it is. There it is. There is the astrology in my chart. There is me doing retreats in my chart. There it is. And the thing about astrology, it isn't like, it's like a mirror. Like it's just kind of reflecting what you're already doing. So whether you are following it or you're not following it, it's happening.
yeah.
It's going to rain whether you believe it's going to rain. If nature says this is when it's going to rain, it's going to rain. Astrology works like that. So constantly, I literally just did a workshop this past Saturday where we were learning how to basically, the ABCs of learning how to read, interpret your chart and how to look at a chart. And just there's some very just visual, quick things you can look at and be able to read. And all of the participants were just like, no way. Like you could just look. And I too was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
yes way. So it happens all the time. All the time.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
find that even in my own coaching, like, so I don't particularly use astrology. So this is why I'm
Mhm.
like so fascinated that you've integrated this. But
Yeah.
even in my own coaching, when I'm sitting there, I get out of my own way and just let whatever channels through me happen. So I know that there's like a higher power, higher
Yeah.
consciousnness source that's kind of working through me.
Yes. Yes.
And even like, the things that I say, sometimes I'm like, I would never say that. Like, that's not something I would say. Like, I don't know why I'm saying that. But then I see their light turn on,
Yes.
and I'm
Yes.
like, okay, there it
There it
is.
is. I mean,
It
this
just,
is really special work. I mean, I'm glad that you're saying that because I think sometimes people feel like doing coaching or whatever is more coming just from the intellect or the cognitive. It is such a spiritual experience, and you are a conduit, and
yeah,
me too. And I do notice I've been paying attention to this more during my astrology readings. I can feel when certain energies are showing up, whether it's ancestors. I can feel if we're in a really heavy part of a chart or the client is experiencing something pretty heavy, and we're just kind of trying to be in the moment. I can start feeling energies showing up, ancestors, like I can feel it. And, initially I tried to ignore it. I'm like, am I crazy right now? And it's like, no, 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 no. There's more to this than just talking about this issue. Like there's more energy behind it.
right. And it's definitely something that's like, you never know what's going to show up, but then it just all kind of clicks into place
Yeah,
when it needs to click into place.
yeah, yeah.
And so the further you got, so you said that you got into this when you were young. Like, how deep did the rabbit hole go for you?
So when I was little, so I don't know how old you are, Andy, but I will just go ahead and share. I'm 53, so I'm a 70s baby, 70s and 80s baby. So I probably started looking at astrology when I'm in the late 70s, early 80s. So back then we had newspapers and newspapers were delivered, every day. And so they used to have the horoscopes in the back of the paper. And horoscopes were kind of everywhere. They were in the back of the paper, back of magazines. And so the furthest I went as a kid was just I just would read every sign's horoscope. Yeah, so that really helped me understand the energy behind every sign. But I didn't know what I was doing, right? I'm 8, 9, 10. You don't know what you're doing. I'm just reading. And it was just really interesting to me. And so I didn't go really down. I didn't know anything past. And horoscopes, do understand when you are looking at a horoscope there and you think, oh, I'm a Cancer. So you think you're going to go look at what it says about Cancer. But that's not how it goes. They're doing it based on your rising sign, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't know this as a kid. Okay. But some of the elements, they do cross over to the sun signs too when you really start digging into the astrology. But I didn't know that there was a such thing as a moon sign, a Saturn sign, a Jupiter sign, Venus sign, a Mars sign. Who knew any of that? And I didn't really, really know that until when I had my own spiritual kind of reawakening and when I met with the astrologer who started helping me through some healing work. They showed me kind of my whole chart. We focused though more on my moon sign and my sun and my rising, or at least that's what I remember.
Mhm.
So that's when I started going down more of the rabbit hole of Capricorn because I'm a Capricorn moon and I could connect to Capricorn. I was like, that's me, like that's me. And so I started really going more down the rabbit hole of who is a Capricorn because I felt really connected to that. But I didn't really go through it wasn't honestly till COVID. So I would say 2021 is when because I started taking the advanced training then and that's when I was like this is freaking crazy. Like this
Yeah.
is spot on. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I've always felt that my sign, so I'm a Capricorn also,
Yeah, yeah.
but my Capricorn always felt kind of superficial. And so I
Mhm.
started learning about Kabbalah and learning about the second node and where my
Mhm.
tikkun is in, and like my tikkun is in Cancer, and like all my like, really things that I need to work on are in signs of Cancer. And I'm like,
Uh,
wow, like it just like blew my world open.
yeah,
The sense
yeah,
of control, a sense of like letting go and trusting and giving people their, the dignity of their process and the things like all that
yeah.
stuff that just like happens. I'm like, that
Oh,
is me.
yeah,
That is me. Like really 100% like so
yeah.
I totally get it.
To your point, like you said, the Capricorn didn't really, but if you notice that Cancer was actually a lot, Cancer is the sister sign to Capricorn. So they sit across from each other. So that means you're always kind of in opposition with this energy, which would,
Mhm.
yes, definitely leave you not always fully connecting to the Capricorn. So, but if people could learn that, then
Yeah.
it would be like, oh, that's why I don't feel so much like what I read or hear people talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I grew up in the age of Walter Mercado. He was on Univision with his
Mm.
like gold capes, and he would be on the Spanish channel, and he would read your horoscope every
Oh,
day. And I
oh my
like,
gosh.
so I remember like growing up with the horoscope being like televised.
Oh wow. I didn't know about that. So that
But
would have
it,
been,
it
yeah.
was something that it was like I never really connected to till as an adult, but it was like always kind of in the background, right?
Yeah.
Again, family is super Catholic, so it was like
Yeah.
leave that
Yeah.
devilry alone.
And it's, yeah, I mean, given what's happening, and you may have more questions regarding this, but we're in a very different, clearly, time. Like we're shifting to a completely different society, civility, all of that. And I think, this is why astrology is, I think, astrology itself gets popular in cycles, depending on what society is like rebirthing, and we're rebirthing another stage of humanity. And so a lot of people are, so I think a lot of religions, a lot of practices, a lot of dogmas, all of these things are going to get challenged right now because we are all as humans shifting into a different way of existing in on earth. And astrology is going to be super, and oracle, any of the things what's considered these more esoteric mystic spaces are going to be really helpful because what we're doing and what we're shifting into is kind of quite magical. And
Oh, absolutely. I personally have been feeling and witnessing that the consciousness level of the planet has been elevating, and that
absolutely.
more people are starting to ask the questions that are deeper, not surface level. Like we, I don't know, collectively feel like, hey, there's something that's like not right here. Like
Absolutely.
there's something like we're collectively feeling like, what is this that I'm feeling that is just like disjointed from this 3D reality, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and generationally. So, one of the things that astrology, I mean, it kind of covers everything, but a deep part of astrology is you can look at generations ideologies, like what their ideology and what their pains and what they've come here to shift for us. And I think we all know that each generation is coming, to shift things and to change generational patterns. But literally, astrologically, certain planets sit still for years and years, and so anybody born in that year is going to have the same placement of a particular planet. And this is a big, big deal because what's happening. A lot of people say, oh, Gen Z, they're this, or millennials are this. But the generations come in to collectively elevate the consciousness and to challenge us, to push us to new ideologies. And so it's very, I mean, when you really start studying it, it makes complete sense. But if you don't study it, oh my God, it'll just look like what's happening, like the world's falling apart. But actually, the world is just, it's rebirthing itself. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I totally have felt that.
Yeah.
So I want to shift gears a little bit and just,
Mhm.
I want to know more about how did you get into the realm of coaching? Like what
Mm,
pulled you? The way that I define coaching is helping to mirror other people for their own elevation.
mm,
You know, I
mhm,
think therapists have their tools and techniques to really dig in there, but I think as coaches, I have felt like I've always been the mirror for people. I've always
mm,
just been there to witness, to reflect, and to help elevate rather
yeah,
than to, diagnose and label and do this, right? I mean,
yeah,
I,
yeah,
I can't do that anyways, but like I've never been called to do that. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Never been called to
yeah.
be a clinical therapist. It's always been like, okay, this is what I see. What do you think?
Right, right. Yeah, this is it's kind of interesting. Again, my life just lands on me and then I follow it. Like I said, I was a physical therapist, and so for me, healing has always just been very interesting for me. And when I was in my 20s, I decided to go back to grad school for counseling because I was witnessing more of how people's bodies were so contingent on where their minds were. Like, depending
Mhm.
on how motivated they felt, how much pain they were feeling, how happy, how sad, that was going to dictate how much we were going to physically get done. And so I just wanted to study that a bit more so I could, at the time, thinking to be a maybe better physical therapist and not understanding where that was going to lead me. So once I got my master's in counseling, and I didn't go to become a licensed counselor, that really, again, my goal really wasn't to be a therapist. My goal was to better understand how the mind and behaviors and conditions and stories and experiences color how we live. And so coaching wasn't, I didn't even really know what coaching was. And when I pivoted my own life and I started doing music full time, I was having so many crazy things happening musically. And I had a lot of artists come to me and say, how did you get this? How did you get that? What did you do? And I'm like, oh, well, you need to do this. And I started realizing I'm using some of my counseling skills, like talking to them. I'm like, but I'm not a counselor. I don't want to. And that's when I started researching about, I don't know how coaching kind of landed, but it was like, I think I was looking up creative coaching, like how do you kind of coach instead of, and I had heard more about coaching. And so yeah, so as I started getting into it that way, I realized, oh, this is more about helping people, facilitating people's back to themselves. So I feel like my theory, right? You said mirror. I tell people I'm holding a flashlight and
Mm.
I'm just putting the flashlight on the blind spots, on the spots that you just haven't considered, or maybe you didn't realize they were actually trying to talk to you. guiding you back to that spot, and then motivating and giving you some steps, some things to think about that could be helpful. When I use the astrology, though, it's more of guiding you. Like it, I can see the wiring of why your soul chose this lifetime. It goes that deep, and so that is really helpful because now I know, oh, the soul really came to work on this. So let's put the flashlight more in this direction
Yeah.
because that's more where we're going. Yeah.
I love the imagery of the flashlight. I've come
Mm.
across that several times where it's like, everybody's walking around in the dark just
Yeah.
trying to find their way. And then someone
Yeah.
comes with a flashlight and it's like, hey guys, this way. And it really feels like that, being able to hold the
Yeah.
flashlight and help people just to find their way. Not my
Absolutely.
way, not everybody
Absolutely.
else's.
Not my way. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm real big on that. And I think also being a parent, like being a mom, I've learned like that's been the only way I've really been able, I feel, to be an effective parent is to put those flashlights and show them like these different possibilities about themselves and possibilities of the world. You get to choose. I mean, they're young adults now, so it's very much that. So yeah, and I even think therapists like we have to that's I think talk therapy is another space that's gonna, like every system, is really gonna get pushed to
Mhm.
elevate as well and to
Yeah.
evolve. Because we're just in a different time. Yeah.
Do you find that your children accept the coaching part of being a mom or
Yeah, I mean, they are kind of I think they appreciate it a lot. I mean, we talk about this a lot. My youngest son is 19, my oldest is 22. Both of them are very, I mean, way more evolved than I ever was at 19 and 23 or 22. And my 19-year-old has really taken to astrology. Like he gets it. So he will sit and he's like, oh, my Libra moon is doing whatever, but I'm going toward my North Node in Aries, blah, blah. I'm like, oh my God, I love it. You can use it. So they contact me to almost be their coach. Like they're kind of like, okay, mom, this is the situation, and like not so much what should I do? They never really ask that. They just say, this is the situation. What are your thoughts? Like, am I seeing this right? Or should I be seeing this another way? And so that to me is that hand of, okay, I can step in and be more the coach or the guardian or whatever. Yeah. And it's really worked for our relationship a lot.
That's
Yeah.
amazing that
Yeah.
they like appreciate it too, that
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
accept it, appreciate it, and are learning about it. I've often seen, dynamics with parents when it's always the do as I say because I
Yeah.
say so. And like the
Mhm.
kids will go in the opposite direction because there's no rhyme or reason to it. But
Absolutely.
stepping into allowing the dignity of one's journey, right?
Absolutely. And this is the thing. You must learn your children's chart. I cannot, I almost think you need to learn their chart more than your own. No, that's not true. You need to learn yours first. But you must. Oh my gosh. It is a game changer in your parenting because we think we see our children for who they are. Like we think, but when you begin to understand literally like why their soul chose you,
Yeah.
why they came here, and astrology gives information about that, it completely has changed that is what has allowed me to give them their
Wow.
journey because I'm seeing in their chart, especially my oldest who's an Aquarian, and Aquarius is the energy of individuality. It
Yes.
is the
Oh yeah.
energy of innovation. And so since he was born, he has never done anything that a book said he was going to do. Never, never, never. And it really wasn't until his teens, when I was getting into the astrology more, that I started realizing, oh, this is what he needs. This is what's going on. He's an Aquarius. He's a Scorpio moon. He's a Cap rising. He's intense. He's intense. So I've got to let him, I can't be trying to tell him what to do. Like that's
Mhm.
just ridiculous. And so I do a lot of my clients who have children. It doesn't matter, even if you don't have children, but definitely if you do have children, you want to see those people who are closest to you. And again, not while you're dating and looking on, and I'm going to go try to find this person and you don't even know like anything about them. These are our intimate relationships that are already established. It's very helpful to be able to look into their charts because and I say with their permission, because that's it's pretty powerful when you're looking into a person's chart, but it really is so helpful. And yeah, it's changed it for us. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And, even to go a little bit deeper into that when I work with clients is not only why did their soul choose to be with you, but why did your soul choose to birth them?
Yes,
That soul
absolutely.
contract that you have with your children, and how does that elevate you? So just even reflecting with my own children, it's like I see me in them. Like
Hmm.
my oldest daughter, she's my natural daughter, and she has my sign in her rising.
Yes, yes.
And I'm like, oh,
Oh, I'm
sorry.
telling you, you go find her moon. That's what you want. I always tell moms, find your kids' moons because that's how they're experiencing you. The
Yeah,
moon represents the mother. So it's not how you necessarily are as a mother,
yeah.
it's how they literally are experiencing you.
Oh,
So,
yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. And
yeah.
the intertwining of the what are we here to do together? What are we here to do to
Yes.
elevate?
Yes.
And, how can we be each other's, assistant or guide, or
Absolutely.
just
Absolutely.
what are we learning from one another? And so I have
Yes.
two stepdaughters who are Tauruses, and
Mm.
like I know you remember at the retreat that we went
Hmm.
together that there was a
Uh-huh.
lot of work around Taurus that I was going through.
Yes.
That was
Yes.
very powerful. And again, learning, like, what is it that I'm here to learn from them? And I remember
Absolutely.
I had a conversation with my stepmother. This was
Mm.
back when the relationship with my husband was new, and I was like,
Mm.
oh, um, you know, the kids, they're kind of, we're just kind of not vibing. I don't know what's
Yeah.
happening. So I turned to my stepmother and I'm like, how did you do it? And I
Yeah.
laugh like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Payback, right?
It was
No.
like, yeah, exactly. She's like, uh-huh, yep, circle of
Yeah.
life and all that wonderful stuff.
Hmm.
And so I just remember thinking, yeah, no, there is something that I need to learn. And through them, my relationship with my stepmother, through them, what does it mean to be a stepmom? What is it that I was capable of doing? What was she capable of doing? And then going through that lineage,
Yep. You're
women.
you're you're calling it. So this is what's so crazy, Andy. All of that.
Yeah.
I can see all of that in a person's chart.
Yep.
From stepchildren, step parents. I mean, all of that is
Wow.
there. And so it's super powerful. It's better though to be living it. Like I have clients tell me your story
Yeah.
because we have the power. This is the one or the most amazing gift of being a human is you have that free will. So you are coloring in this map. I don't know I can't look at a chart and know a person's story. There's no way for that. You are coloring it in. So you tell me the story. Now I was like, I have the context of how this is playing out.
Yeah.
And yes, if you have two Taurus energy that, any energy, if you have a sign that commonly is around you or is familially, like I have a lot of Gemini. My
Oh,
mother's a Gemini. My daughter, I mean, I don't have a daughter. My son is a Gemini. My mother's a Gemini. My sister is a Gemini. These are some of the closest people to me. So clearly Gemini energy is trying to, I'm learning more about Gemini, and Gemini in my chart sits in a hidden part of the chart. So they're trying to show me that. So yeah, it's fascinating. It's,
yeah.
and my mom's North Node is my sun sign. So kind of similar to what, so we're all in this dance together.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
absolutely. Absolutely. And it's never misses. Never miss. I've never seen it miss.
It doesn't. Mm-mm.
Well, Tika, I'm so grateful that we got to spend this time together. Can
Yeah,
you tell the listeners how they can reach out to you, how they can get in touch with you for a
absolutely.
one-on-one, or what's coming up for you?
Yes, no, definitely. If you're interested in doing a guidance reading or if you want to learn astrology a bit more just for yourself, if you go to findingyourvoiceafter40.com, as soon as you come to that website, you'll see where it says book a call, book a discovery call. And I usually start with discover, they're free, the free discovery calls, just so I can hear a little bit more of what you need. And we go from there. It's pretty simple. One of the astrology and retreats, I feel very clear that that's the space that my work, really resonates and where I feel so much joy. So yes, if you go to that site, findingyourvoiceafter40.com/retreats, then you'll see a form and it lists some of our retreats coming up. And there's no obligation, but if you're just interested in learning more, you can fill out that form and you'll get updates. Yeah.
Well, Tika, I am so grateful that you came here and we got to share
Ah,
this space.
I
Like
love it.
always, sending you love, love everybody.
Ah, I love it. Thank you. Thank you.